and welcome back to the Mystery Theory. Today, it's another soft spoken Wednesday, and we're gonna talk about truckers and liars. Today's case is requested by Mabel some time ago, so thank you for the request, for allowing me to share this request with everyone. If you have a request, please feel free to leave it in the comments down below. Sometimes it takes a while as I'm going through the list, but eventually I cover all suggestions. Before I start with today's video, as always, please leave a comment before you drift away. By doing that, you're helping my channel and also by rating it. So please take a second if you want to support my channel. Now, let's talk about Sheila. Her last name is Giannutolo. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. But Sheila was recently divorced. She had 3 kids of her own, and she was going through that stage where she was feeling very apprehensive to going into a new relationship. She was also figuring out her new life, but this one night she met James Cruz Jr. I think it was called Country Bar. Anyways, this took place in the state of Ohio. Now, when you meet somebody and you really enjoy the company, but don't really find any attraction for that person, well, that was what happened to Sheila. But don't get me wrong, James was handsome, fun, and charming. He had a stable job as a trucker. He was very interested in Sheila, and he was a family guy. After meeting each other for a few times, Sheila ended up accepting to go out on a date, and the rest is history. Eventually, they were engaged. They started their new family in James' hometown of New Waterford, Ohio. They had kids of their own added to the ones that Sheila already had. They had twins and another total of 3 kids of their own. After a while, they started fighting. Not about differences really in their relationship, but because of struggles with money. James was still working away from home Monday through Fridays. But the money that he was making was not enough. I don't know the extents or the fights themselves, but there was an incident that happened after Sheila accepted some hand-me-downs for her kids. Apparently, her mom brought her some clothing items for the kids, and James didn't like it. He didn't like people thinking he couldn't provide for his family. Because of this, he decided to disconnect her phone so she would stop talking and sharing about their personal problems, which I think it's what it's known about this case. But at the same time, if James was fighting over this, don't understand the why, because at this point, even if he didn't want his kids to have used clothes, Sheila had 3 of her own, and her mom was the grandmother of those kids and trying to help. So Sheila was very confused. The guy she married was a sweet family man, and James was now angry. He would call her fat, stupid, sometimes even useless, not only when they were alone, but when the kids were around. It got physical once that we know, of course. He slapped her this one occasion, and according to what's shared, she tripped and ended up being seriously injured. if you ask my opinion, I think he did a lot more than slapping her. But this is the version that she shared with her family and friends. She was done. But how was she supposed to provide for 6 kids now? This, believe it or not, it's one of the big reasons why some stay with their abusive partners. I started watching the series Made last night that cover a story about a girl being abused by her boyfriend and how she leaves him and finds herself very alone in the streets and with a toddler and her struggles to make it on her own. Of course, this series I'm sharing, it's portrays some of the small percentage of people that get out of an abusive relationship on their own. Sadly, most abused mothers that have more than one kid or even one, and that devote their time to the family. Their job is being a housewife and a mother. Sometimes, like in this case, found no way out. But Sheila realized there was a lot more going on. James started hiding his phone, taking calls outside, and locking himself in the garden shed, and he would put a padlock on it, sending a very clear message: keep out. This one night she was doing laundry and found condoms with his dirty clothes. When he came back home at the end of the week, she confronted him and he explained he wasn't cheating. That box belonged to a friend. He was keeping it for him, and that he would never cheat on her. Now, it sounds like a teenager kind of excuse, but at this point, I assume Sheila kind of knew that this wasn't the truth. Sheila was working, and this day her daughter Jenny called her and said something like, "Mom, if you're going to keep stuff like this at home, at least hide it." Sheila didn't understand. daughter said she found the tape. Sheila didn't know what this tape was, so she said to put it where it was and that she'd take care of it when she got home. She got it out from where her daughter put it, watched it, and it was a videotape of her husband James and one of Sheila's friends having sex. Again, she confronted him when he came back home. He said it wasn't him. At this point, Sheila didn't believe him, and on top of that, you could clearly see his face. Again, she felt like she needed to leave. But the pressure of having 6 kids led her to believe that she couldn't do it on her own. What I'm saying here, I feel like I need to clarify. I'm sharing what she was feeling at the time. I am not saying if you're in a violent relationship that you should stay because you can't afford your children. I want to make that clear. If you or anybody you know is going through this, I'm going to leave a phone number where you can call and get help. It's possible to get out. It's not going to be easy, but there are resources to help you get a roof over your head and your kids, and ways to help you start over. But Sheila didn't. It was her choice and what she believed was right for her. So James now decided to buy her love back with gifts. He would bring back from his trips like jewelry and little things, but mostly jewelry like necklaces, rings, watches. But this one time he brought a cassette recorder. This was a gift for Jenny. Even though she didn't like him, she accepted it and took it to her room. She pressed play because it had a cassette inside. And it was kind of a voice diary. The girl was stating that her name was Dawn and that she ran away from home, but that she knew how to take care of herself. She didn't run away from home, she ran away from somewhere else, now that I'm thinking about it. But she was a runaway. Then she mentions that she met this guy she really liked. That's where the tape ended. Jenny went back to James and wondered where he got this from. He said that it was found at a truck stop along his last route. Now, let's move forward to August. This particular day, James was in a horrible mood. He explained to his wife that police visited his work and took samples, DNA samples of him and his co-workers. He said he was feeling very